Houston is all about water. It began in 1836 when the Allen brothers bought 6,600 acres of land where Buffalo and White Oak bayous meet. Hoping to create a center for commerce and trade, they named their fledgling endeavor after General Sam Houston, who had just won the decisive battle with Mexico for Texas independence. Just 20 years later, Main Street was a busy place and right on the bayou. Now, more than 175 years later, Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States. The area is a hub of constant activity and has become a world-class center for a host of endeavors in commerce and technology, and yet it has more park acreage than any other major U.S. city. In contrast to some areas of the country, the Houston-Galveston region has continued to grow and shows no signs of stopping. By 2025, it's estimated the population in the Houston metropolitan area will have increased by almost 2.6 million people, bringing the population of the 10-county area to just under 8 million. As Houston and its surroundings have boomed, its waters have often paid the price. Many of its 2,500 miles of bayous, rivers, and streams are impaired by bacteria and other contaminants.
And all of us know that absolutely water quality is going to be the issue that defines us going forward. If you lose quality of water, you lose your existence.
In 1996, Houston area waterways began appearing on the state of Texas list of impaired waters. Something had to be done. With expectations of a growing population and experts recognizing the need for more and cleaner water, the process of improving the waters in and around Houston was begun in earnest. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality worked with local people to begin to make things better. While the scope of activities followed the Federal Clean Water Act, local interest and expertise were the driving forces. First, there was studying, monitoring, and reporting. Then a group was formed to create a plan to clean up bayous, lakes, and streams in and around Houston. Centered at the Houston-Galveston Area Council, this 31-member team became known as the Bacteria Implementation Group, or simply the BIG.
We had originally a stakeholder process to design the ultimate stakeholder process, and spent a lot of time thinking about how could we create a group that would be representative of the parties that would be involved in implementing the plan, but not so large as to be unwieldy.
And big they are. Local professionals from all walks of life, some world-renowned in their fields. Many have lived in the area for decades and know it well. Meeting as one large committee and concurrently as a series of subcommittees, the BIG worked for nearly 3 years to develop its plan. Most assuredly, these local stakeholders brought diverse opinions and different needs to the table.
There was never a time when I thought this was going to be an easy process. Fun and exciting, yes. Easy, no.
After finding its own way, the group developed not only an identity, but a resilience that served them well when things got complicated.
So the group came up with several recommendations, and then they pretty much threw them out the window and started over from scratch. They liked the new start, the new approach.
The big plan dealt with a very large area, 2,200 square miles, 10 counties, 56 cities, and more than 5 million people. Diversity and balance in the stakeholder mix were critical.
We spent a lot of time thinking about the appropriate composition of local government representatives, business and industry, environmental groups, citizens, and how we would populate that.
The city of Houston and Harris County were the largest entities represented on the BIG, but smaller communities were well represented and played an integral role in the final plan.
Quite a few of my staff are on those subcommittees, and so we've all brought things to the table on what we want.
Busby's experience on the BIG showed the value of sharing problems and possible solutions.
This was a good learning experience for us, because a lot of these people up here, they didn't realize our problems were very similar to some of those other entities. So we got to share different strategies.
In a typical year, the Houston-Galveston area gets over 50 inches of rain, often too much at one time. The land is flat and the area floods easily. The Harris County Flood Control District and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have combined to create many parks with detention basins and man-made wetlands. These basins hold stormwater long enough to allow much of the bacterial contaminants to settle out, and at the same time are beautiful recreational areas. Texas Stream Team volunteer Diane Humes tests the water in Mason Park to check the levels of bacteria. A master naturalist, Humes is excited about the plants and animals making the park their home, and about the park's ability to clean up stormwater.
And the stormwater used to just go straight into the bayou. Now it goes through a series of 3 ponds that have been planted in native vegetation. It cleans up the water and then empties into Bray's Bayou. The idea is if you slow down the water, you give it a chance for the bacteria to die off and settle down to the bottom instead of just rushing into the rivers.
Walking in Mason Park is like being in a different world, seemingly detached from the city, but it's really not.
It's very urban here. It is very urban. We are surrounded by concrete and all kinds of businesses, heavily industrial area. And yet, people use this park all the time. There are people jogging and biking every day, every hour of the day.
Another project to clean up water flowing into the bayou with detention basins and a created wetland is Willow Waterhole Park. It's also part of Project Braze, the $450 million effort to create places to handle stormwater and at the same time change the face of a neighborhood.
To have 300 acres of green space in our backyard has just been an incredible gift to the neighborhood and has really changed the view that people have about Southwest Houston. This is really a green oasis.
When finished, Willow Waterhole will be another example of cooperation addressing problems and creating a beautiful park in the process.
And so we just have the opportunity to reduce the risk of flooding, to rediscover the beauty of nature, and to clean the water at the same time.
Part of the BIG's implementation plan involves reminding people how important water is, why it needs to be kept clean, and how to use it wisely, starting with young people. The City of Houston's Waterworks Education Center is a place for wonder and learning.
The kids walk into the exhibits and they go, wow. And that happens a lot. And then we do hands-on activities with the kids too that reinforce the experiences they've learned in the exhibit hall. We had one mother-daughter came to an event and the mother was telling us how her daughter was chastising her for leaving the water on when she brushed her teeth. The kids are getting it, and it's a wonderful thing to see when their faces light up.
North of Houston, in Montgomery County, the Spring Creek Nature Center is another place where people of all ages can learn about the critical role water plays in each of our lives.
We're all about water. Water is our main stock in trade for educational programs. They come in and because it's a touchscreen TV, they can touch something and play the game that's on there or listen to the message that's on there. And a little bit further, you get to choose a raindrop, and it asks you a question about water quality or how to prevent pollutants or contaminants from going into storm water. And they'll stand here and play this game all afternoon.
This plan is comprehensive. It is not magic. It took many years to get Houston area waterways in the shape they are in. It will take decades to clean them up. But the BIG not only has a plan, but things are already being done.
We've already started a series of workshops for local municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4 operators in the region, trying to build their capacity and their ability to work together and learn from each other.
Other parts of the plan already being implemented include working with the Texas Real Estate Commission to make it easier for inspectors to check septic systems in homes being sold, and they've begun to analyze self-reported data from wastewater treatment facilities to check bacteria levels in the effluent. The big implementation plan addresses bacteria impairments in 11 basic ways, involving many parts of the community. While there are many sources of bacteria, the plan focuses on 4: wastewater treatment facilities, sanitary sewer systems, home septic systems, and stormwater, all the while helping the public understand their role in making Houston's water cleaner.
The other thing, I guess, that I was heartened by is everyone is very much committed to addressing the problem. Where we had debates was about the causes of the problem and the cost effectiveness of various potential solutions.
Table says the stakeholders quickly decided they needed to back their recommendations with good data and not use cookie-cutter approaches.
We need to be careful about just taking a menu approach to possible implementation measures. I think we really need to start and discuss with the stakeholders what makes sense here, what makes sense in this context.
While every part of Texas has its own unique features, other parts of the state can learn from the big experience.
Going through this crucible of a 3-year intensive planning process and at times debate, I think strengthened existing relationships and built new relationships among the many entities represented on the big. And the good thing about working with stakeholders is we had the very agencies and representatives of the very groups that will be responsible for implementing the recommendations in the plan. They're at the table for 3 years running.
Pride of accomplishment seems to be driving those who created the plan, turning it from something on paper into focused activities.
I don't hear our members talking so much just about, the words on the paper. I really think this is a movement, and I think if we all commit to keeping it going, that's really the exciting thing for us is creating this sustained partnership to tackle this problem on many levels.
We can make a difference by coming together, working together, and remembering that the primary goal is to make sure that these water courses serve the needs not only of today, but of the future.
The big implementation plan is a tribute to knowledge, collaboration, and mutual respect. It is a sign that people who care about their communities, their water, and the kind of environment their children and grandchildren will enjoy can get involved, can persevere, and can make a difference. Their achievements are a credit to their community and a model for other Texas communities who also want their water to be as good as it can possibly be.